On this edition of EDR Tech, we're going to be going over the Vehicle and Cable Lookup section of the Bosch CDR software help file. Now, although this is just one part of the help file, the Vehicle Cable Lookup section is probably the most utilized section. And as I'm sure you're aware, it has grown and grown over the years and is a bit more difficult to navigate and understand than it was just a few years ago. This is due to added CDR support for additional manufacturers and changes the manufacturers have made to their vehicles. The Bosch CDR tool supports over 50 brands of vehicles across more than 20 auto manufacturers, with coverage going back to 1994 for some models. There are nuances and variances that exist between the manufacturers, and all of this needs to be incorporated in the existing help file. New vehicle modules containing additional data have been added as well. Just a few years ago, ACMs and PCMs were about the only modules available to retrieve EDR data. Within the past couple of years, new modules containing additional data, such as rollover sensors, active safety control modules, and front camera modules, have been made accessible in the Bosch CDR software. All of this had to be incorporated in the existing help file, so it's gotten a little bit complex. Let's take an in-depth look at this section of the help file. Now, for those of you that have been using the Bosch CDR tool for a while, a lot of this will be a review, but a lot has changed in just the past couple of years. So when we're done, hopefully, you'll have a better understanding of the different layouts and how they're used. There are two basic layouts of the Vehicle Cable Lookup section of the help file. One that is standard for all manufacturers other than Toyota, and one that is specific to Toyota and their affiliated brands. Now, the reason for this is that Toyota has numerous vehicle models that are only sold in specific global regions. Also, support for specific models is often broken down into model year ranges. Therefore, starting a search by the model name rather than the model year as with all the other brands is much easier. One thing to note that applies to either layout. If the vehicle you're searching for is not listed in this section of the CDR help file, it's not CDR supported. Now, you may see some gaps in coverage where a particular model vehicle is supported one year and then not the next year. This is due to the respective auto manufacturer not making the data available to Bosch to be added to the software. Let's start with the layout for manufacturers other than Toyota. Click on the Vehicle Cable Lookup icon on the toolbar. A window will open with an alphabetical list of CDR supported vehicle brands. Click on the brand you're working with to start your search. I'll use Ford as an example. The layout is the same for all manufacturers in this format. Now, you'll notice that some of the text is blue in color. Anything blue is a hyperlink that will either open a table or take you to a specific section of the help file related to the text. You'll also see some text highlighted in yellow. Anything highlighted in yellow is related to a specific adapter that is required to perform a download. CDR supported vehicles are listed in order of model year. There are two ways to get to the model year you're searching for. The supported model years here are all in blue text, so you can simply click on the model year you're searching for and it will take you to that section. Or you can use the scroll bar to scroll to the model year you're looking for. All of the information is contained in the following columns: market, year make, model, module, vehicle interface, OBD DLC Connect, D2M Connect, and module location. Let's go over each column, moving left to right. The first column indicates market coverage for CDR support. The Bosch CDR tool is a global product and its use has greatly expanded in regions outside of North America. To be CDR supported, in other words, to be able to retrieve EDR data from a vehicle, the vehicle has to have been configured for sale, in most cases that means originally sold, in a listed CDR supported market. The number shown indicates the supported markets for that vehicle. Click on the number or numbers to open the market coverage table. The number related to your vehicle corresponds to the number on this table. Make sure the vehicle you're working with is CDR supported in your market. Now, it's possible that you may encounter a vehicle that was configured for sale and sold in a market outside of, say, the US, and somehow worked its way back into the United States. It's not very common, but it can happen. It's one thing to consider if you get some type of vehicle, VIN, or module not supported error message when attempting a download. Again, I would say that this is a pretty rare occurrence. The next column indicates the model year and make of the vehicle. This column is pretty self-explanatory. I would say this though, take an extra moment to verify you're looking at the correct model year. While scrolling through model years, it's easy to be looking at 1 year up or 1 year down, so keep that in mind. The next column lists supported models. This may seem self-explanatory as well and pretty straightforward. However, there are actually quite a few nuances and variances with some vehicles that you have to be aware of. There also may be specific notes that you have to pay attention to in this column as well. So let's take a look at some of them. Take this 2008 Ford Explorer. You'll also see it says, including Sport Track, which is a specific trim package for the Explorer. There are 2 notes that apply to this vehicle as indicated here. Let's talk about notes before we go any further. Notes are most often contained in the vehicle model column, but you'll also see them listed for specific vehicle modules. They're written in blue text, so we can click on it to open a table. Information contained in notes range from required use of adapters, support variations for certain VINs, information about uncommon lengths of time to complete a download, and a whole lot more. Always read the notes and take the time to understand them. One important thing to know about notes tables. The open tables are specific to the brand of vehicle you're working with, and in some cases even more specific to a particular vehicle system. So, note number 1 in the Ford table is completely different than note number 1 in the Chevrolet section. Don't assume you already know what the note is indicating without looking it up. In most cases, the table will contain a long list of notes. Only the notes listed for your vehicle are applicable. So back to our Ford Explorer. It indicates that only Note 4 and Note 8 apply to our vehicle. Use the scroll bar to scroll down to and read the applicable notes. Some vehicle models have different information depending on the trim package for the model you're working with. Let's look at the 2004 Ford F-150. We see that it's listed twice, once as the F-150 Heritage and listed again as the F-150 except the Heritage. You'll see that the information is different for both variants of the 04 F-150. This Ram ProMaster is supported, as is the ProMaster City. The ProMaster is a full-size chassis van. The ProMaster City is a smaller van. Both may have a ProMaster badge on them, but they're completely different vehicles, so know the vehicle you're working with. This 2005 Chevrolet Malibu is listed as the Malibu Classic and as the Malibu. You'll need to know the difference between them when determining support. This 2008 Chevrolet Uplander has different support depending on a production variant of the vehicle. You'll see the information is different for an Uplander with RPO AW9 and without RPO AW9. RPO stands for Regular Production Option, which is a GM code for options and installed components in their vehicles. You can click on the RPO hyperlink for more information. These are just a few examples of the many variants that exist within the model column of the vehicle cable lookup section, so pay close attention to all of the information provided. The next column is the module column. This indicates which type of vehicle module containing data is accessible with the CDR tool for that vehicle. There are currently 6 types of modules you may see called out in the help file. The ACM or airbag control module is by far the most common and in most cases contains the primary crash data. PCM is the powertrain control module found in some 2011 and older Ford vehicles. ROS is the rollover sensor, which you'll see in some General Motors vehicles. PPM stands for Pedestrian Protection Module. You may see this on some Dodge and Fiat vehicles. As far as I know, there are currently no vehicles configured for sale in North America that are equipped with a PPM, so be aware of that. ASCM is a relatively new module that you'll see in newer General Motors vehicles and is the Active Safety Control Module. And finally, there's FCM, which is the front camera module that contains images found in newer GM vehicles as well. You may see more than one type of module listed for a certain vehicle. There are separate rows of information differentiated with background color changes that apply to the specific module type. This 2019 Cadillac XTS, for example, has 3 separate modules that you can retrieve EDR data from with the CDR tool: the ACM, the ASCM, and the FCM. Notice that each of these have a note associated with them as well. Be sure to click on each note for specific information related to downloading data from that module. You'll also see an additional hyperlink under the FCM labeled How to Image. Click on that for more instructions on how to download data from the front camera module of this vehicle. There's a data hyperlink next to each module type. Clicking on the hyperlink will open a data page specific to that class of vehicle module. Listed are the types of data that may be obtained from that system. The keyword being may. Variances exist within the class of module the data page is associated with and are ultimately determined by the vehicle manufacturer's configuration of the system for the vehicle you're working with. But for the most part, this is indicating the types of data you could expect to find in that system. The next column is the Vehicle Interface column. This indicates which CDR interface module you'll need to use to perform a download, the CAN Plus or the CDR 900. For the 2019 Cadillac XTS, you'll need to use the CAN Plus module to download data from the ACM. The ASCM and the FCM require the CDR 900 to download data from those modules. So, you'll need both interface modules to download all of the available data from this vehicle. You may see CAN Plus or CDR 900 indicated as the vehicle interface, such as for the ACM in the 2019 Honda Accord. In this case, either interface can be used to download the data. The recovered data will be the same regardless of which interface you choose to use. The next column is the OBD DLC Connect column. This column lists the DLC connection cable and adapters required to download data through a vehicle's OBD DLC port. With the CAN Plus module, many vehicles simply list the F00K 108287 connection cable. This is the standard OBD cable used for pretty much all DLC downloads with the CAN Plus module. For the CDR 900, click the hyperlink. This will take you to a connection diagram indicating to connect the CDR 900 DLC cable to the CDR 900's power cable. With the CAN Plus module, some vehicles require an additional adapter to perform a DLC download. We see for this 2021 Ford Bronco, the F00K 108784 DLC adapter and the CAN Plus DLC cable is required. As mentioned earlier, adapters are highlighted in yellow. The next column is the D2M or Direct to Module Connect column. This column lists the connection cable and adapters required to perform a direct to module download. Like the OBD DLC Connect column, adapters are highlighted in yellow. If either the CAN Plus or CDR 900 can be used, the required hardware is listed for each interface. For this 2018 Dodge Journey, the F00K 108387 adapter and the number 821 cable are required when using the CAN Plus module. If using the CDR 900, it states to use the same cable, number 821, but not the ACM adapter. There are times when more than one adapter is required. The 2012 Dodge Avenger, for example, requires the 108387 ACM adapter, the 108790 ACK adapter, and the 108516 cable for a direct-to-module download and can only be retrieved using the CAN Plus module. For vehicles that utilize the FlexRay communication protocol, such as this 2021 3 Series BMW, you'll see a unique icon or symbol that is specific to the CDR 500 FlexRay adapter. As a side note, Edition 3 of EDR Tech was devoted to explaining FlexRay and the CDR 500 adapter, so check that out if you'd like more information on that. The required cable and adapters, including the CDR 500 to perform a direct-to-module download, are listed for either interface module. The FlexRay icon is actually a hyperlink that will take you to connection diagrams for this unique application. The final column is the Module Location column. This is indicating the general location where the module containing data is likely located in the vehicle you're working with. Some are a little more specific than others, and some are hyperlinks written in blue text. If that's the case, you can click on those, and in most cases, a diagram or photograph will be displayed with a little more detail as to the physical location of the vehicle module. And that's an overview of the vehicle cable lookup layout for all manufacturers other than Toyota. Now be aware you may encounter some unique variances to the examples we just covered. Now let's take a look at the layout for Toyota vehicles, which includes their affiliated brands Lexus and Scion. Click on the same vehicle cable lookup icon on the toolbar. When you click on a Toyota brand, you'll immediately notice a different layout. First, there's a row of number or letter hyperlinks at the top of the page. These represent the first number or letter of the model name of the vehicle you're working with and will take you to that area to begin your search. Let's search for a U.S. market 2007 Camry. I'll click on C and you can see it takes me to Toyota models starting with the letter C. I'll need to scroll down until I locate the Camry. Notice that there's a subclass of the Camry Solara, which is listed separately. Always make sure that there's not a specific subclass of the model you're working with. So for Toyota vehicles, the model name, general support range, and market code are displayed on the top bar of the section. We see that this section applies to the Camry 2001 and newer and market code 7. Like with the other format, click on the market code to open a table. Market code 7 is all markets where the vehicle is sold, basically indicating that all Toyota Camrys within the listed date ranges are CDR supported. The support for the Camry is broken down into blocks of model year ranges. The blocks follow a similar column and row pattern to the other format. The first block contains information for 01 through 04 Camrys in all markets and for 05 Camrys sold in the US and Canada markets as indicated in the year column. The next block contains information for the 05 Camry except US and Canada and for 06 through 2011 Camrys in all markets. So you'll need to pay particular attention here and make sure you're in the right block for the vehicle you're working with. We see that the 2007 US market Camry falls into this block. The next column indicates the type of vehicle module, in this case ACM, that is accessible with the CDR tool. Within this column, you'll also see data hyperlinks listing the types of data you may expect to retrieve from the ACM. Here you'll notice that there are two listed, the 04 EDR and the 06 EDR. Well, how do you know which one is applicable to the ACM in the vehicle you're working with? Hold that question and we'll answer that when we get to the D2M Connect column. The next column is the Vehicle Interface column. This is the same as in the other format. It indicates which CDR interface module is required to perform a download. The next column is the OBD DLC Connect column. It also is very similar to the other vehicle brands format and indicates the DLC cable and adapters needed for a DLC download. Currently, the only DLC adapter used for Toyotas is the DLC4 adapter, which is only required for DLC downloads of vehicles configured for sale outside of the US and Canada. The next column is the D2M Connect column. The information in this column is laid out similarly to the other brand's format as well, but you'll notice some significant differences in the content. We see that there are 4 different direct module cables listed within this block that includes our 2007 Camry, the 108-613, 614, 615, and the 616 cable, 2 of which also require use of the 108-387 ACM adapter. Now only one of the 4 options will work with the ACM in our 07 Camry. So how do you know which is applicable? To know that, you're going to need to physically look at the label on the top of the airbag control module. There, you'll see a part number, most often starting with 89170. We see on this Toyota ACM, the part number is 89170, followed by 52690. Below the listed cables, you'll see click here with a question mark hyperlink to match the ACM part number to the correct cable. Clicking on the hyperlink takes you to a cross-reference guide. From here, you can click on the hyperlink with the appropriate part number range of that indicated on the ACM. In this case, 89170-5. Now, scroll down until you find the matching part number. It indicates that for this ACM, to use the F00K 108-613 direct module cable, and that use of the ACM adapter is not required. One thing to know about Toyota CDR support. You may encounter a vehicle that falls within the supported date ranges, but when you check the cross-reference guide, the ACM part number isn't listed. If the ACM part number is not listed in the cross-reference guide, that ACM is not CDR supported. It's not a common occurrence and is more often encountered in pre-2012-2013 models. This is applicable for DLC downloads as well. If you get a collect data failed or module not supported error message, it may be that the ACM is not CDR supported. And the only way to know for sure is to check for the part number in the cross-reference guide. Remember when we wanted to know which data hyperlink was applicable to the ACM in our vehicle? It's listed here in the cross-reference guide. It's listed as 04 EDR for this ACM. We can now go back to the data hyperlink to see what data is likely contained in an 04 EDR ACM. And lastly in this column, if using the CDR 900, it indicates to use the same direct-to-module cable as above. However, even if listed above, the ACM adapter is not used with the CDR 900. And the last column is the module location column, which like the other format provides the general area that the ACM is located in the vehicle. And that's it for this edition of EDR Tech. One thing to keep in mind is that the CDR help file, especially the vehicle and cable lookup section, is a living document. Changes and additions are contained in each CDR software release. If there's a topic you'd like to see covered in a future edition of EDR Tech, please let us know. Click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll be notified when next month's edition has been posted. And as always, if you have any questions about any of the EDR retrieval tools, Bosch, Hyundai Kia, or Tesla, just give us a call or go to crashdatagroup.com.